Welcome to the first episode of Pastors Kids United, where we will dive into the real, raw, and sometimes hilarious experiences of life as a pastor's kid. I'm your host, Shakira Scott, and whether you've grown up in the spotlight of the pulpit or you're just curious about what it's like, this podcast is here to unpack the highs, the lows, and everything in between. Get ready for honest conversations, personal stories, and maybe a few confessions. And I just want to make a huge disclaimer. This will not be a platform for slandering your church, my church, or the church, or your leaders. This is a platform of kingdom awareness and positivity. You must honor your leaders or where you came from, even if you haven't always had a positive experience. Let's get started. Today, we're diving into the topic that you as a PK could more than likely relate to. What is a PK? What is your definition of a PK? I'm glad that this is even a question because I got tagged in a Facebook post like earlier this week, and this was like, oh, this is definitely confirmation that I should be doing this, right? So basically the post was pointing out the difference between a pastor's kid and a preacher's kid, right? Because we all know there's a difference. Baby, there is a huge difference between a pastor's kid and a preacher kid. I don't care what you have to say. There is a huge difference. But before we get into anything, y'all are probably like, why did you even make this podcast? I know you're a pastor's kid, but why did you even make? Okay. Basically, Matthew 12:25 reads, knowing their thoughts, he said to them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself will not stand. Matthew 12:25, New King James Version, right? So here's a little background, right? I'm gonna give it to you in the Shakira Scott version. So Jesus, he performed a miracle, right? He healed a demon-possessed man. He was blind, The people, they were shocked, and, they was just like, so like, is he really the Messiah, And basically, Jesus is like, that is absurd. Why would you say something like that? Because basically, he's arguing that a kingdom divided against itself cannot stand. And this passage is often understood as a teaching on the dangers of division, right? Whether it's in a kingdom, a city, a household, unity is essential for surviving, and it's essential for strength. And so I'm building this podcast, right? I made this a platform where I feel like all of us, me and you as PKs, can unite and learn from each other's experiences, because I just feel like we are all divided right now. Like, everybody's dealing with this, somebody's dealing with that. And I feel like if we just united, we shared our experiences, we could be helping one another. We could be, we could know who we are by now. We could be helping one another. So that's really why I decided to go for this podcast. And so I really hope that in the midst of these conversations, in the midst of these podcasts that you're listening to, that you feel that you are not alone, that I got your back, the other PKs got your back. If you ever need to talk, just send us a quick DM, whatever. I got you. Okay, so I may have done the both of us a favor, and I kind of looked it up on ChatGPT. Do not come for me because you use ChatGPT for your essay, for your work but yeah, okay. So anyways, I ChatGPT'd what exactly the definition of a PK is, right? I know what being a PK is because I literally have that, I have that daily experience. So just some background on me, right? I'm 20 years old. I have been a PK my entire life. I am apostolic to the bone, right? Apostolic to the bone. Been a PK my entire life. Our church has been going strong for 24 years, going on 25 next year. My pastors are wonderful people, wonderful leaders. My parents are wonderful leaders. I'm so proud of them, and they pastor a church way in Window, North Carolina, the Way Church. And so there have been good experiences. There have been bad experiences, and there just has been some experiences. Okay. My God. Anyways, now that we know about me, right? ChatGPT has their own little definition. So let's read it. A pastor's kid, often abbreviated as PK, is the child of a pastor or minister in a Christian church. These children often grow up in a religious environment and may face unique social and emotional experiences due to their parents' role in the church. Being a PK can come with certain expectations, such as adhering to higher moral standards, definitely, dealing with community scrutiny, definitely, and navigating the pressures of living in a religious family. Yeah. The experiences of a pastor's kid can vary greatly depending on the family, church, and community dynamics. This visibility can sometimes create pressure and scrutiny. What do you know? As they may feel the need to live up to the standards set by their parents' position. Additionally, they may also experience the benefits of being part of a close-knit community, such as a strong sense of support and belonging. The devil is a liar, because that is not true at all. The devil is a liar. Yeah. Victory is mine. Yeah. Okay, back to the podcast, right? Okay. So first off, I low-key disagree with ChatGPT's definition of being a PK, because first off, I don't feel like a PK is just a child of a minister, right? I feel like a PK is the child of a shepherd, right? And that's the really big difference between the preacher's kid and a pastor's kid, because the pastor's kid, right, they have to deal with the shepherd's sheep. We have to face them on every Sunday basis. So say your parent or your guardian, right, they corrected a member in the church, one of the members of the congregation, right? If we want to be technical, one of the members of the congregation, and the member of the congregation didn't like that. Well, they about to start taking out everything on you. They about to start fussing at you. And I just feel like a preacher's kid, they don't get that same, they don't get that same from those people. Because I just feel like a pastor's kid, you're literally planted in that church. A preacher's kid, you just go where your parent or your guardian preaches at. They might preach at a location and then, travel to the next. You don't necessarily have to stay there and deal with the congregation or the members of that church. Not to diss your experience as a preacher's kid, but you cannot tell me that a pastor's kid and a preacher's kid is on the same level, because the devil is a liar. No, absolutely not. Let's get down to business. Let's get down to business. So there's a question how has growing up in a pastor's family shaped your identity and worldview? Okay, and there's a positive and a negative side to everything, right? For me, positively, I would say it's allowed me to make good connections and serve others, make smart choices and my morals and values, and then of course career choices, right? The negative side, people trying to tell you who they want you to be rather than pointing you to your creator. Hate it. God created mankind in his image, not yours. Why are you trying to tell me who I am? And I mean this in the most respectful way possible. I just feel like people just think they can tell you who they want you to be, and you're not God. You are not God. I mean that in the most respectful way. So you guys do not understand how many times I have heard this, because my mom is a first lady and my dad is a pastor overseer now, right? You should marry a preacher. Oh, you look like a first lady. You're gonna marry a pastor. You're gonna be a first lady. Yeah. Maybe God wants me to marry a construction worker so we can go and build the new foundation for the church, because y'all been working on the church building fund for 15 years. Or maybe he wants me to marry the church drummer. No, okay. Maybe he wants you to marry the church drummer, okay? Okay, we're not even gonna touch the musician side tonight. But anyways, I just think I think it's fair that the congregation learns that, God's desires for me are not your expectations for me. He said, "For I know the plans that I have for you." plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. It just offers reassurance of God's intentional plans, not your plans for me, God's plans for me. Like, maybe he didn't call me to marry a pastor. Maybe he didn't call me to be a first lady. Maybe I'm just a doorkeeper in the house of the Lord. Maybe I'm just, I'm giving out water bottles to the preachers of the I don't know. Just because I'm a PK doesn't mean I have to marry a pastor. Just because I'm the daughter of a pastor does not mean I have to marry a pastor. Like, I just feel like y'all's expectations are just, it can be really like, they can be really not just scary, but like really antagonizing. And it's a lot of pressure. I feel like you guys put a lot of pressure on PKs. And I just don't feel like it's fair. Like, I really don't feel like it's fair. And I think like the congregation sometimes should just think about things before they say them, because you don't really understand how it's affecting me as a pastor's kid. Like, just telling me that, oh, you should be a first lady because I have on a nice dress and because I'm, the daughter of a pastor or a first lady is literally insane. Like, what did you think? I was gonna go put on a dress and some red bottoms, 6-inch red bottoms, and act like a first lady? I don't understand. In the most respectful way possible, you guys really have to think about what you say. Like, those kinds of things can be a lot of pressure, because it's just like, it starts to mess with your identity. Like, in other words, sometimes it makes you feel like you have to be or look a certain way so that people will accept you as a pastor's kid. And I'm sorry, but I like me. I like being me. I like working the cameras at the church. I like randomly busting out singing, yeah, 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 yeah. Like, I like being me. I don't think I need to change for what? I like being me. All jokes aside, right? I would say personally, being a PK has definitely challenged my faith. Like, and not in just the good ways, but like the bad ways too, right? Like, you eventually learn as a pastor's kid that you cannot live off of your parents' relationship with Christ. That was one of the biggest things that my dad taught us growing up, was like, your relationship with Christ is not through me. Your relationship with God is through your prayer life, your life of prayer, your life of consecration, what you listen to, what are you feeding your spirit on a daily basis, right? So in a good way, it's challenged my faith and helped me build my own relationship with Christ, where when I need things, or when I'm just, I want to talk to God, or I just need to pray, or I just need somebody to talk to, I have that relationship with Christ where I can say, okay, let me put my phone down. Let me turn my phone off. Let me, just cut off everything around me. Let me stop talking to a couple people for a few days. And let me just focus on, what the Lord's trying to say to me. Because right now, baby, this is not working, right? So I feel like it's challenging me in a good way, to where I've been able to build my own relationship with Christ. It's helped me, even though like every pastor's kid has those moments where church can get a little overwhelming sometimes, because you have to serve and everything. You have to, like, let's be for real, and we're going to talk about that more in further episodes with more PKs, right? But like, I love my church. I love serving it. It's helped me like discover my calling. It's helped me figure out who I decided to be in Christ, right? And so even though there are challenges that come with being a pastor's kid, I wouldn't trade it for nothing. I love being a pastor's kid. I love who I am. I love who God has called me to be. I love walking in my calling. And that's just that. Nobody's going to change that. Like, for real. Like, nobody's going to change that. Like, that's tea. Like, that's tea. Okay? So that's a wrap on today's episode of the Pastor's Kids United. I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the life of a PK and found some inspiration or, some laughs along the way. If you've loved what you heard, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, share, leave a review down below in the comments. It really helps people it really helps other PKs to just join in, and let's just get connected. If you've got a story or you have a question, you can definitely DM us at PKs United _. And until next time, Remember, being a PK might not always be easy, but you're never navigating it alone. Stay strong, stay real, and I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Shout out to my PK friends and my OG PK friends. They know who they are. Thank you guys for listening. And I just want y'all to know, like, this podcast is really here because of y'all, like, for real. Okay.